What's a truth people are not ready to hear? Story 1. We've reached a point in social media where nobody really gives a care about what anyone else is posting. So those folks who post story after story or status after status, you're getting skipped over. Answer: I only post one picture a year. It started out as a joke since like 3 to 4 years in a row I posted one a year unintentionally, usually. As for stories, I never post them unless I'm at a wedding or something really cool. I have a friend who told me that if they get a notification or see I've posted, they'll 100 check it since it's so rare, even though it's usually not as cool as the rave girl who posts a story every week of a rave they're at. Story 2. Social media is subconsciously brainwashing healthy people, warping and twisting their minds into social squalor. Unrealistic expectations, unhealthy boundaries, self-centrism, anti-intellectualism, etc. Story 3. Being on the right side of history will depend entirely upon who eventually gets to write those histories. Story 4. Most people won't change, no matter how much you love them or try to help. Change has to come from them, not you. Story 5. Yes, everything happens for a reason, but more often than not, the reason is that you made a bad choice or someone else did. Story 6. The person you loved could easily be lying to you all along and deceiving you, and you don't matter. I had an ex that I was going to propose to after 6 years together, and she cheated with someone in our bed in our apartment, then told me multiple times that she never loved me, then did other horrible things. Story 7. With the exception of maybe 3 to 4 people, no one really cares about you at all. Your job posting to replace you will be out before your obituary, assuming your company isn't just shifting your workload to other existing staff. Story 8. No one really cares about you. Not in a bad way, but in the sense that what you do or say will mostly be forgotten. Everyone is concerned with themselves, so just live your life. Do that scary or cringy thing. Answer: tangential counterpoint, because there's nuance here for closer relationships. People don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them feel. Has proven true for me again and again. People may not be able to pinpoint why you make them feel a way, but they feel it. So you're not defined by single moments, but you are defined as a sum of parts. Story 9. 20 years or so after you die, only a couple of people will remember you, and probably less than that. Story 10. You are just one in millions of employees of your state. You are born to work and pay taxes. State says sweet things just like companies do, but the only important thing is money. Even kids are being called future taxpayers. When you don't have kids, people ask, who will pay your pension? Story 11. Opinions expressed on Reddit are generally not reflective of the majority opinion in society in most places. This place has become a circle jerk of epic proportions. Story 12. Blood means nothing. Family can come from anywhere, and toxic blood family can absolutely be let go. Story 13. You can die at any moment. You can become disabled at any moment. One misstep, one wrong turn, one distraction. Your life as you know it, over. With love, someone who works with the dead. Story 14. A lazy employee can be lazy all the time and no one cares. The minute a hard-working employee has a lazy day, everyone will lose minds. Story 15. At the end of the day, no one owes you respect, but if you respect other people, you are more likely to receive it in return. Story 16. Your kids do not owe you shoot, just BC. You did the absolute bare minimum. Feeding, provide shelter, education, clothes for their backs. Story 17. If your life is really crazy and full of drama, there's a good chance that 90 of it is your fault. Story 18. That food and water and clothes and hygiene and healthcare and education and a roof over your head is basic human rights. Story 19. The abundance of screens, content, and technology is making the real world less and less important to people. In my opinion, we're heading toward a world where serious mental health issues are going to become normal, even a given because of this. Story 20. Deep down inside, some of us don't want to be here. I dislike this place. I must get out. Agent Smith. Story 21. The act of driving a massive modified truck bears no demonstrable relation to the augmentation of one's virility. Story 22. Sometimes you're the problem. Assuming something without all the facts. Misunderstandings has ended many relationships because of lack of communication, lack of accountability as well. Introspection will help you realize some of these. Story 23. No, you're not special or different than the others. You're just coping because you don't want to feel insignificant. Story 24. All of reality is an illusion constructed by us. We could change it tomorrow, but we'd rather argue about race, culture, money, and power. Story 25. All the money you're hoarding won't stop you from dying. You will die someday, and despite what Hollywood has force-fed you, it won't be pleasant or comforting. Story 26. It is not true that nobody likes war. There are some humans who love it and wish there were more of it. Story 27. I just speak my mind is not an excuse to be a jerk to people who work in a place you want to have access to. I work for a pool company and almost called the cops on this one man who was being so rude to me from the get-go, and it escalated so fast I had my phone ready. After that, I decided that I wouldn't even let him set foot on the property. He justified it by saying, I speak my mind. Yeah, okay, that might be the case, but that does not give you the right to treat me like I'm lesser than you and like I'm an idiot. Story 28. Good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people, and it's often because of money. Story 29. There's way too many people living on this planet, and people should probably stop having herds of kids. Story 30. The Bible has undergone, as a minimum, a revision when it was standardized in Latin by Jerome, the Vulgate, in the 16th century via Martin Luther's German Bible, the King James Bible, the removal of the deuterocanonical books from Protestant Bibles, comparison and revision in the 19th and 20th century from the Codex Sinaiticus and Codex Vaticanus, through recent comparisons to the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Greek New Testament texts, Nestle Aland, 28th edition. That book you live by is at best a lot of Chinese whispers. Stop treating it, in the most literal sense, as gospel. It is. Reinterpret it every time someone does a deep dive. Story 31. The world is literally ending due to climate change. The reason for that is a group of about 3,000 individuals. Imagine that, 3,000 people responsible for the end of the world, and many people either cheer for them or prevent others from taking action. Story 32. What you eat, drink, and do, activities, in your 20s, 30s directly determines your health in your 60s, 70s. Story 33. You need to stop all this. You just gestured to all of me. That's it. Stop being all of you. Story 34. Many people in power will only see justice if someone decides to sacrifice their life as a vigilante. Story 35. Things are only going to get worse and are very unlikely to get better, so you need to look for your own good in the world. Story 36. Freedom of speech means freedom from government censorship. It does not mean no one can dislike you for what you say, fire you, expel you, evict you, judge you, etc. Story 37. That women still like to dislike on other women, sometimes for no reason, sometimes just because another woman is prettier. It's horrible. Women should all be supporting and uplifting each other. Story 38. Nothing we do matters in the long run, but in the short time frame, we can be extremely helpful in other people's lives. Say hello, hold a door open, check in on your neighbors, donate $1 to homeless person. Think locally, not globally, and things can and will get better. Story 39. We are more likely to destroy ourselves through hatred and ignorance than we are to explore space through intelligent enlightenment. Story 40. There are some people in this world that truly need to be imprisoned for life, but almost all of them are not in prison and never will be. Story 41. Not everyone you know will like you no matter what you do or say. They will always be jealous or just flat out not like you. Story 42. 1. Human rights are also a social construct. There is no law of physics entitling humans to food, water, shelter, education, liberty, life, etc., simply for being humans. It's simply something we as societies have agreed upon, and if we stop agreeing on it. 2. You can't make anyone care about anything. Just because X is important to you and you think it should be important to everyone else doesn't make it so. You can punish them for not caring, but all that will do is either drive them away from you or, if you're in a position where they can't easily do that, cause them to go through the motions of caring without actually caring. Story 43. Not everyone is special and destined to do great things. Most people are meant to live perfectly ordinary lives, and that's okay. Story 44. Mainstream media is inherently biased and can't be trusted. Yellow journalism is real and a big issue. Story 45. You need to delete your social media. You're addicted, and it's affecting your life, choices, and emotions more than you will ever willingly admit. Story 46. I feel that people aren't ready to hear how much animal factory farming, or animal farming in general, hurts the environment. Also, I think they are even less ready to see how painful it is for the animals. I have yet to meet someone who sees these horrors and not be upset by them. Most people just avoid knowing about it. Ignorance is a bliss, I guess. Story 47. Stop waiting for people to feel sorry about how they treated you. Unfortunately, people don't care about how they treated you. Heal, let it go, move on. Story 48. Instead of looking out for a reason to blame, sometimes we need to look within. We can also be the reason. Acceptance is the basic thing. Story 49. In America, most news sources are propaganda, and the two major political parties are basically cults that don't serve the people. Story 50. The BMI scale is actually pretty decent for normal people. Unless you are a bodybuilder, if the BMI indicates you are fat, you most likely could lose some weight. I learned this after thinking I was normal shape, 94 kg and 184 cm tall, and I got some muscles, dropped to 88 kg, and I can now see I was fat before, aiming to get to 84 kg. Story 51. That Reddit is a place that attracts losers. Not everyone here is a loser, but losers flock here. And dear reader, you are not ready to hear that like the question asked. Story 52. The world really is just that unfair. The good get used and abused, while the cruel and evil get away with genocides and only get more wealth and power. Oh, and that, yes, a large percent of humanity truly is that fudge dumb. And you just gotta accept it sometimes. Story 53. Reddit is not the same as real life, and your perception of reality will be skewed if you get all your news advice from this site. Story 54. Our animal part rules us almost all the time. Dopamine cravings, anger issues, twisted disorders, all sorts of addictions, false hopes, irrationally predictable. Story 55. We know less than we would like to admit, and being open to learning should never end. Partially related, but crystallizing your personality means you can't change, which contradicts with knowing you don't know. Story 56. There will be people who will dislike you no matter what you do. You cannot please everyone. Some will dislike you for things you can control, for things you cannot control, for things you are not, and for things that have nothing to do with you. We are imperfect people in an imperfect world, so be yourself and move on from those people. Story 57. If you acquire enough wealth, you can avoid all accountability for your actions, living outside the boundary of rules for others. Story 58. Fixing the damage Trump has caused, America will take more than 100 years, and we will never regain Europe's trust. Story 59. We are going to die. You are wasting your time working for a system that doesn't really matter. Your time is well spent doing what you love and helping others. Go outside and nurture nature. Story 60. All things are impermanent. Our lives, relationships, all that we own, this entire planet and solar system, even the universe, impermanent. But this is true of times of sadness, despair, and oppression as well. All impermanent, all changing. Story 61. Being closed-minded and stuck in your ways will keep you right where you are in life. You are in complete control of the life you live. Story 62. The U.S. is fudge. I don't mean because of Trump. Rather, because your labor force is powerless as well as toothless. Your overlords have you bickering over bullshit while they systematically dismantle every protection workers fought for over the past century. You're arguing about pronouns and culture wars whilst your real wages have stagnated for decades. Your healthcare bankrupts families, and your right-to-work laws gut unions faster than a fish on a Friday Arvo. The harsh reality? Most Americans have been conditioned to see collective bargaining as somehow un-American, when it's actually the most patriotic thing you could do. Your ancestors literally died for the 40-hour work week, weekends, and basic workplace safety. Now you've got people working 3 jobs just to afford rent, calling it hustle culture, like it's some sort of badge of honor rather than a symptom of a broken system. Meanwhile, your billionaire class has convinced half the population that the problem is immigrants, minorities, or the other side of politics. Classic divide and conquer. They've got you fighting each other over scraps while they hoard wealth that could solve homelessness, fix your crumbling infrastructure, and actually make America great again in ways that matter. The truth people aren't ready to hear? Your individual bootstrap mentality is exactly what keeps you powerless. Other developed nations have figured out that strong labor protections, universal health care, and robust social safety nets actually make capitalism work better for everyone. But Americans have been sold this myth that solidarity is weakness, when it's actually your only hope. Your corporate overlords are laughing all the way to their tax havens while you blame your neighbor for your problems. Until Americans wake up and realize the real enemy isn't each other, nothing will change. And that's the uncomfortable truth most people would rather ignore than confront. Story 63. You're never going to be good enough for some people, and that's okay. It's a problem with them, not you. You'll also be happier when you quit trying to cross their probably moving goalposts. Story 64. You're not as stupid as you think you are. You're not that smart either. You're exceedingly average. It's hardly likely you will influence history. Your name may never be known. Your grave may be unmarked. There's freedom in that. Nobody may hail your name, but you can still crack open a cold one with the boys, or girls non-binary folk. Story 65. Democracy in its current form isn't really democracy. You just get to choose which politicians will do what rich people companies tell them to do. A true democracy wouldn't work either, because it would require a very high percentage of the population to be highly informed, educated, and intelligent. Story 66. Voting Democrat or Republican doesn't matter. They played you, and you still believe in their lies that change will happen for the better. Story 67. You know how they say nobody cares for your feelings? Well, the peaceful process isn't the best and only line of defense against despotism in America. Nobody cares that you feel anything regarding immigration, private equity, taxes, or violations of civil rights. They use the fact that you want to remain peaceful against you. And if you don't have the sense of altruism to risk everything to bring about a change when authorities side against it, nothing you want to peacefully protest is ever going to matter. Nobody's going to give a shoot about your feelings. Nobody is going to give a shoot that you think anything is wrong. Police officers don't go home at night thinking about whether what they are protecting is wrong. They go home at night thinking about the same things you are: their children, their equity, their houses, their income. The only difference is that theirs is more secure, so it's easier for them to go home and think you're just being irrational and unreasonable with what you're protesting. Story 68. There is a huge group of people out there in the world, a bustling city's worth at least, who know with conviction that all of your personal beliefs are wrong. Accept this fact and learn to negotiate with people. Story 69. Your entire existence is a tiny microscopic blip on the scale of just our galaxy, let alone the entire universe. And that blip will be someone else's entire world. Story 70. You are why you're suffering. Revolution, or sometimes you need to take responsibility for your own happiness. Cuddly. Story 71. If you always find yourself having falling out with friends or claim to have haters, the common denominator is you. You're the problem. Story 72. All your children are going to die fighting over water and food because we refuse to hold a handful of billionaires responsible. Story 73. When it is your turn to die, it will be a very solitary personal experience, whether you're surrounded by loved ones or alone. The experience of dying is just you dying. So unless you die suddenly, you will have to process this. It helps to be forewarned so it's not panic-inducing. But even so, it can get out of control. People go in a whole slew of different ways, ranging from peaceful to panic to raging. Story 74. Not everyone who needs help is lazy. Sometimes, people are doing their best and still falling short, especially families with kids. Struggle doesn't always look like failure. Story 75. No one spends as much time thinking about you as you believe they do. That stupid thing you did or said yesterday that lived in your head all night so you couldn't sleep? The strangers that witnessed or heard the stupid thing forgot all about it 5 minutes later. Likewise, no one sees you the same way you do when you look in the mirror each morning. Just because you have a bad opinion of yourself doesn't mean everyone else does. Learn to love yourself. Story 76. You can have the best intentions, wish no harm to anyone, and have pure motives, but you can still hurt others, and you will. So learn how to apologize. It's not weakness. It's just something good, kind people do. Using "I didn't mean to" as an excuse might be okay for a kindergartner, but not for grown jerk adults. Story 77. That by accepting the only thing you have control over is yourself, they can be more free than when they are trying to control everything else. Story 78. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life. Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, TNG Peak Performance. Story 79. You are responsible for your own actions, inactions, decisions, and indecisions. You are also responsible for learning from your own previous mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. Everyone does it. What's important is to actually take something away from them so that you improve as a person. Self-improvement should never stop. Story 80. Government sold out the people to big business a long time ago. The only way you'll make a difference is to study, challenge, and prepare to vote for someone you would not normally vote for. Story 81. Not all news is fake. Not all videos are AI. Not every picture is photoshopped. There's a lot of it for sure, but nowhere near the amount people seem to think. Story 82. People will regularly not listen to a word you say and already know what their reply is before you have finished talking. Sometimes it's not worth talking at all. Story 83. You might love your kids and believe they should be welcomed in all spaces, all of the time. Not everyone feels the same. Story 84. Violence works and most of the time goes unpunished. The story of Biff from Back to the Future is not how it works in real life. Story 85. You're not solely responsible for your own success or failure. External factors are always a factor, and often are the deciding factor. Story 86. Human intelligence is severely limited, and it is pretty arrogant of even the smartest people in our species to assume that it is not. Just because something does not make sense to us as humans, because our logic cannot perceive it as rational, does not mean it does not exist. It may be irrational to our limited knowledge, but that's it. The universe does not exist to please our logic. Hence, everything that can be possible probably is possible, no matter how far-fetched it may appear to us. Story 87. No one is leaving this life without regrets. You will meet and befriend people who you will later wish you never met. You will date and love people who you wish you never stayed with. You will take amazing opportunities that will turn out to be disastrous. You will make decisions you thought were for the best that turn out to make things so much worse. You will regret so much throughout your life. But with every regret, there was a decision you made that turned out great. A person you met who hasn't let you down. An opportunity you took that worked out. The fear of regret will hold you back. I'm not saying be impulsive. Think things through. Take chances. Learn from failures. Celebrate successes. Don't ever think that you will get out of here without making some mistakes. What's important is what you take from it. Story 88. Lol. I made a comment about what is the only historically accurate way to defeat fascism, and I got a warning and the comment deleted, which only proves my point. Story 89. Stop looking for all the answers on Reddit. Go live your life and make your own success and mistakes. Story 90. Life is short and unfair. Every day good people suffer and bad people get rewarded. And tomorrow, anything can happen. Just live your lives to the fullest and value what matters. Story 91. Your parents love you. To them, you are special. The world is actively trying to destroy you, and you need to remember you are not a special addition to the population. Story 92. Trauma is not an identity or a protected status. Stop asking everyone to accommodate your personal preferences. Story 93. The Democratic Party is so weak, it handed democracy to a cult of superstitious and sociopathic enikels on a silver platter. Story 94. Trump voters or far-right voters aren't just misunderstood or helpless or downtrodden, outcasts, or losers of the system. They dislike people. They dislike everyone who is not like them. Educated people, gays, black people, anyone who isn't them. They don't care about a better life for themselves. They just want to hurt others because prefer blaming the perceived winners of the system instead of questioning the system itself. Maybe because they'd feel just fine with it as long as they get to somehow profit. Story 95. Disability is an inevitability to the degree is completely random. So the family, old friends you had to drop, generally assholes. By the numbers alone, will more than likely deal with the same things you're dealing with. Recently, those same people are trying to creep back into my life. Story 96. The United States is not united in any meaningful sense, and there will inevitably be a civil war in the U.S. in our generation. Story 97. That no matter how hard you try, or for how long you try for most ordinary, everyday, regular people, they will never be financially successful in a way that brings them even anywhere near being on an above-average income. Never mind rich. But the dream and the chance to try makes people believe it is possible for them. When 99, most likely, you reading this, if you're someone who wants to give it a go and have a try, you will never succeed. Person reading this, you'll never be rich. Story 98. You will be forced into an ultimatum between eliminate the rich or being eliminated by them. This isn't to imply a direct action. If we're all just weeds,